Hey, what's going on, my brothers? This is Enemy Stand User here, and wow, this week's chapter was just filled back to back with action as this three-way deathmatch unfolds, and we get to see just how off the rails every opponent in the Sendai Miyagi colony is. Yuta really has his hands full dealing with both Uro and Ichiguri at the same time, and it just leaves him with no time to breathe. But this chapter, as we see toward the end, Yuta is just getting started. But let's just dive into this awesome chapter. Alright, so the chapter starts off with how we left last week's panel, with Yuta trying to make the battle into more of like a close quarters fight. Then we immediately get a picture of what we're dealing with Ichiguri in his own mindset as a sorcerer. He questions Yuta's motive to move the battle in close and uses an analogy of holding back a child from enjoying a delicious meal. So he's really trying to prove a certain point, but he's pretty bad at proving it, although he is kind of confirmed or hinted at being another ancient sorcerer when he said, "In my first life, I always ate in moderation." So Ryu also dwells deeper into his past, saying that he really may not have had regrets in his past life before. However, he always had this selfish desire and this hunger lingering inside of him. Even now, he notices small things like the taste of his cigarette, but his whole life he never got his dessert, so to speak. So Ryu really is a pretty selfish guy, and he has an interesting point about him having everything but never really being satisfied with what he had, or living life in moderation, like he never got to live his life to the fullest. So that must be something, if he is a past sorcerer, to live in that Edo Hien feudal era and have everything but never getting his dessert, I guess. But he really gives me the same kind of vibes as a character like Hakari or Todo in his crazy mindset, especially Hakari with his fever mindset, so to speak, or what he desires or what he wants. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys feel the same way about that. However, the fight is kicked into high gear as Ryu engages Yuta in close combat, showing off his moves in an impressive display of strength against Yuta of all people. And I love how both fighters, Yuta and Ryu, both complement each other's power, with Yuta noting Ryu's high output and his explosive power, and how he uses cursed energy, even being able to hurt him if his guard were to let up. And Ryu noting Yuta's boundless cursed energy and how well he reinforces it with the amount of cursed energy that he has, comparing Yuta to liken to that banging against a large water tank. And they end this small skirmish when Ichiguri states his own ambition and reasoning, being unsatisfied as he uses his cursed energy in a way to repel Yuta from his back. Then he continues pressure, chasing Yuta to hit him with his Grenada Blast attack. However, this time, Yuta goes in, taking the brunt of the cursed energy beam with only his bare hands, then rushing at Ryu, targeting his cannon in a clash between Yuta's fist and Ryu's cursed energy wave. But ultimately, Yuta again got blown back, and now Uro decides to join in on the battle, giving Yuta no time to relax as she warps in and uses her power like she did before to crack the sky around Yuta like a thin layer of ice, and repels him down in the attack called Thin Ice Missile. Ichiguri now is very upset at Uro's interference and attacks her with a cursed energy shot. However, she uses her curse technique to distort space around her and fires his own attack right back at him as she insults him, calling Ichiguri a dickhead. And I love the translation is pretty crazy here, but I love how both of them bicker at each other, and it just lets you know how they just want Yuta all to themselves, like they're fighting over him. But now the situation is looking a little bit more dangerous, as it's like a literal three-way deathmatch. Both Ryu and Uro notice Yuta's power, and his cursed energy is now starting to wear down due to him taking so many of their attacks and his usage of reverse curse technique, and how much cursed energy is draining from him. And it's now starting to have an impact on him. Even Ryu stated, "At last we see the bottom of your cursed energy, Okotsu." So even I think Ichiguri is getting somewhat disappointed, acknowledging Yuta's strength, but knows eventually it will fade in the end, comparing it to like a cake shop. When a cake shop closes, no matter how many sweets or treats there is, he decided that Yuta wasn't the one to fill his hunger, apparently. Yuta then thinks to himself and about the situation that he's in, considering all the different factors. Like, he thinks about Ichiguri and how he won't really target civilians, but he also won't hesitate to get regular people involved. And Uro only fights sorcerers based on her own pride as a sorcerer, perhaps, or for more of the challenge of a fight. But what I think Yuta is doing now is he's sort of assessing just how much of a threat these guys are to his people and the innocent people that Yuta is protecting. Sendai, after all, is Yuta's hometown. These are his people, so of course he will want to protect others. And his next statement was saying that Yuta has had enough, saying that he really did want to stay away from the stadium with everyone still in it, but he does not have a choice anymore. And Yuta finally decides to summon Rika, saying, "Come, Rika, all of you." And the end note reading, "All of her shall emerge." So wow, super hype all around, and Yuta definitely is letting both of them know that he is indeed a married man. For real though, Rika is going to be so hype in this battle. I hope we see more of her abilities from her, but I just wonder what Yuta meant by "all of you." At first I thought he was referring to like Uro and Ryu, but now I pretty much think it's Rika. But hopefully we really get an answer to what exactly this reincarnation or version of Rika is, because is she in parts? Is she going to fully manifest now more than what we've been seeing from her? Because I personally thought that her spirit was already exercised, but Yuta obviously now is still able to manifest this sort of like remnant of her. So perhaps she will be back in all of her glory, maybe now, kind of like how she was in JJK0. But I hope we get more answers for that. And it's also interesting that we get some pretty good characterization from Ichiguri, and he seems like a very crazy sorcerer, kind of like how Todo and Hakari were. But just as a prediction right now, I think the next couple of chapters, this guy Ryu, I think he could die. I don't think either of these characters are the types to really give up, but they seem like they would die fighting, especially against Yuta with a fully realized Rika, and I could definitely see them packing it up at that point. But maybe it also makes sense for Yuta to gain at least one of these players' points, and maybe for Yuji's rule to be shared. I don't know how the time is working right now in the manga. Maybe for Yuji's rule for shared points to come into play, and maybe Gege could do something with that for Uro, because I heavily feel like we need more info on the Hien era, and Uro definitely seems like she has some knowledge on that, or could potentially give us readers a lead on how things were back then. But that's just really my take on it. But let me know how you guys feel about it. I know for sure Rika's involvement in things are going to escalate out of control just that much faster because of how powerful she is, and her regarded of course as the queen of curses. But also if we could see Yuta manifest other abilities like his copy curse techniques again, that would be amazing. I mean, I would be hyped out of my own seat. But again, things escalating like they are, we have to expect some death, and I'm gonna be really surprised if one of the players doesn't die, or maybe some civilians get caught in the chaos, because the next chapter should be just a ton of fun, as either Uro or Ryu could get absolutely bodied, or they could pull out more trump cards like maximum techniques, black flashes, binding vows, or even a domain expansion. And I could for sure see Uro Takako performing her own domain in a tight spot, given her own mastery over her curse technique. But we'll see soon enough just how everything will play out. Thank you guys though for checking out my review for chapter 177. This chapter was very cool with all the back-to-back action, and Gege is just on a non-stop streak of W's as of late. But let me know what y'all think about this chapter, and please remember to like the vid and to sub if you like this type of content. And I'm really trying to keep improving, and I'm sorry for the lack of videos as of late recently. I'm working on an animation. It's so stupid, but if you know this character, then you know what it's about. And I thought I was close to wrapping it up, but I probably gotta take a little break from it and make some more content for y'all, so my uploads aren't just collecting dust. But the next vid hopefully is a theory video involving my own thoughts on the state of the coin game and Kenjaku's plan, so that's going to be really fun to do. But anyways guys, that's it for this vid. Thank you again, you brothers are awesome, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.